Hey everyone, Dr. Nuesse from EasyDOTphysicals.com back again with another video. And in this video, I want to give 3 very specific reasons why I feel that the drug testing system here in the United States is completely broken, backwards, messed up, basically doesn't have a lot of value. And 3 very specific things that we could do to fix this system if the bureaucracy could just get out of the way for a minute. So, all right, reason number 1 why I feel that the drug testing system here in America is broken, doesn't work, is messed up, is how the test is actually performed. So there's no consensus here. The federal government requires currently a urinalysis. Some companies will do a hair test, which again changes how long you can detect certain substances. Some companies will do a saliva test, but if you're required by the federal government to have a drug test performed, it is still a urinalysis. Now, they're trying to change this. They're trying to give the option to allow saliva testing for especially the Department of Transportation CDL drivers, for CDL drivers to be tested using saliva if their company wants them to be. So it'll be an option, either urine or saliva, but that has been ongoing for a couple years now. Again, I've made a number of videos on that process. It's stalled out because we don't have any labs that can actually perform these tests and not enough testers as well. So that has been a stalled out process. But so the issue is that there's urinalysis that detects certain substances for certain periods of time. Saliva tests them for different amounts of time, and hair, certainly different amounts of time. Hair, you can test for 3 months for almost all substances. And there's no real consensus on how a test should be performed. So again, the easy fix would be we need a standard. This is the best way to test people for drugs so that we know that they are going to be safe when they're doing whatever job that they're going to be doing. I feel, and from the comments from most of my videos, that most people feel that people should be able to do what they want on their own time, as long as when they're on the clock, when they're on work time, they're not a liability, they're not unsafe, and they're getting the job done to the best of their ability with a clear head. That's, I think, what we should be striving for, and we need to kind of put our heads together and figure out what is the best way to test to ensure that that is the case. So we need a consensus that not only the federal government will use, but that most employers will adopt. All right, the number two reason, and this is a major reason of why the drug testing system here in America is completely messed up, is that it is completely unfair to certain drugs. And by certain drugs, I specifically mean marijuana. So marijuana can be detected, and we're talking about a urinalysis. And again, the urinalysis is going to be the standard most of the time. You're going to see the urinalysis 80–90% of the time when you have to have a drug test. Again, the federal government uses it, and most private employers will use a urinalysis currently. And marijuana can stay or be detected in a urinalysis exponentially longer than almost all of the other drugs that we are testing for. So it is completely biased against marijuana. And marijuana, out of the list of drugs, out of opiates and cocaine and amphetamines, etc., marijuana for most people would seem the most benign, the one that, if we miss it, we'd be least concerned about, but it's the one that we can detect for the longest. So the fix would be, again, something that has been proposed but is completely stalled out, would be at least something like a saliva test. Because a saliva test, most of the drugs can be detected for about the same amount of time, not opiates for a few days and marijuana for a month or maybe even longer. In saliva, everything is a few days. So that would be a very simple fix, is a saliva or some other method where all of the drugs that are being tested can be detected for about the same amount of time. And again, I would get back to the fact that, do we really need to be detecting drugs that somebody used 1 or 2 or 3 months ago? Or do we just need to figure out, are they recently using so it might affect their actual job performance? All right, and number 3 on the list, and I know this is a concern that a lot of people have, so I wanted to address it here, is privacy. And we'll break this up into 2 categories. Number 1 is observing the test and observing you urinate into a cup. Now, that's not the standard by the federal government. For the military, it may be, or if you're suspected to be cheating, they may have you do an observed test, and some employers may want you to do an observed test. The problem, again, with the urinalysis is it's very easy to cheat on a urine drug test in most cases, in the cases that are not observed, because the provider will give you a little cup, you will go into a closed bathroom where you're by yourself, and you're on your own to provide that sample. And I've done a number, again, of videos here on this channel about how easy it is to cheat on a urine drug test if you're left by yourself. It's a senseless way of drug testing, putting somebody in a room by themselves. We can go through your stuff and make sure you don't have any adulterants on you and give you all the rules and all of this stuff. But if we leave you in a room by yourself, most people are smart enough to be able to cheat on the drug test if that's what they want to do. So again, if you leave somebody in a room by themselves and they want to cheat on the drug test, they most likely can, and it basically makes the urine drug test completely invalid. We're not really testing for anything because it's so easy to beat. So again, back to the privacy issue here is that sometimes they will do an observed test to make sure that you're not cheating, or if you're suspected to be cheating. And again, that is a huge privacy issue. You have to expose yourself to a stranger, and go to the bathroom right in front of them. It's really, when you think about it, kind of a messed up way to do a medical test. So the simple fix here would be to do away with urine testing. Urine testing doesn't make any sense anyway. And again, I think we're working towards that. We're not really close to it. We were closer than maybe we were, but we're not really close to it as of, again, the posting of this video. But just doing away with urine testing, I think, is what's best. I don't even do urine testing anymore. I stopped collecting urine samples or performing urine tests, again, about a year ago. I made a video on it that I wasn't going to do it anymore because of this issue, because I just don't believe in the urine test. I don't think it actually tests for anything, and I think it can be beaten so easily that it's basically a worthless test. I think the government is starting to come around to that, but the bureaucracy needs to get out of the way here, and we need to come up with a better way of doing it. So just getting rid of the urine test altogether, in my opinion, would be the way to do this. And then the other privacy issue, I guess, and this is something that is brought up in the comments of a lot of my videos, so I think people are concerned with it, is the fact that, or not the fact, the idea that when they swab your cheek, so if they do a saliva test, if they do an oral fluid test and they swab the inside of your mouth, that they can be collecting your DNA and then storing it in some database somewhere. And I guess potentially that could be true. I don't really see any reason to believe that would be true, but a lot of people, again, seem to be concerned with it. So I don't really know how to go about fixing this if we're going towards the saliva testing, except for just being more transparent and more upfront about how the test is performed, where your sample is going, and what they're actually doing with your sample. All right, so those are my 3 reasons. If you are concerned with an upcoming drug test, please look in the description box below for my preferred home drug tests and our course that we teach for free on how to be best prepared to pass an upcoming drug test. If you have questions, please leave those in the comments section below. And until next time, everybody, stay safe.